Okay, I'd like to call the Corporation of the County of Bruce Executive Committee meeting to order and ask anyone to declare a pecuniary interest either now or rises down the agenda. Hearing none, action items. A, the Bruce Brand Project updated. I think I will turn it over to Kelly.
Through you, Mr. Warden, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the manager of this project, Jill Rood, if the staff report quickly, and then we'll turn it over to Mr. Lintern.
Okay.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Warden and members of committee. I'm here representing the corporate image and messaging cross-functional team. Most of the members are here with me this morning. It's Chris Irvine and Stephen Woods, Janice Mawini, and Rick Aiken. Caravan Mile was unable to attend this morning. So the goal of the Bruce Brand Project is to ensure that the corporation has that unified voice can be consistent across all the corporate departments and functions and speaks to all of the audiences we serve. The project has 4 phases. Last month, Terry Green from Insights was here to report back on the analysis of the research that we went through. And now today we are into phase 2. And phase 2 is really the development of the direction the brand will go in. So, and that does involve a process. Gary Lintern from Tenzing is here this morning to go through that process with you. And you'll see how he will explain how themes are extrapolated from the research and how those themes are developed into certain narratives and directions, and how those are tested through our stakeholder groups, which you'll remember those consisted of residents, business owners, varying demographics, staff, civic leaders, as well as yourselves. So what we hope to, our end goal, I guess, report and through Tenzing's presentation is to both give you an opportunity to provide feedback on the process that we've undergone and also to gain your endorsement of the Be and Explore direction. So with that, I will pass the podium over to Gary Lintern from Tenzing.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
So are we going to bring up, oh, we are going to bring up the PowerPoint. It's exciting. Now that you know what the answer is, it's going to take a while to get to the question, but so if you've been paying attention, you'll know. Sorry about, I tend to move, let me know and I'll try to stand still my way. So we say if it feels good, wear it. I should change this to, I know council passed a resolution a little while ago. A tattoo, right? Might be your first. For some of you, might not be your first, but if it feels good, it's worth tattooing, and we all wear it. We all wear it inside a brand idea, and hopefully, it's what reflects who we are. So we'll take you through the process that we use to get there, and we'll see if it makes sense to you as well. I think I pushed the right button. Evidently not. Is it on? That would be a great question. Ah, no? Nope. Sorry, guys. How do you push it on? Oh, it's on the side.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, well. See, it's poorly branded product. It doesn't quite show you where to go. Anyway, why don't we get through this? So why do you brand? It's always a good question to start with, and I know I've beaten this drum a little bit, but let's all be sure we're on the same page. Number one, reason you brand, especially an entity, a place, is that you want to attract people. And those people will be residents, perhaps, families. They will likely be businesses, and certainly visitors who will spend their hard-earned discretionary income in Bruce County. We believe branding is primarily a margin strategy. So in a community, what that means is getting your assessment to the right place. Okay, so if your assessment is overweighted in one area, we're not growing at the rate you need it to grow to provide the great services that you want to provide to your citizens. You want to grow your margins. Okay? And branding will help you do that. It positions for the future. We all know that we need to get younger as communities, and that there is a transition going on in Canada, Ontario, around the world, and we have to attract youth. And that those nice young people will help old guys like me survive. Anyway, and finally, diversity. And that means basically, instead of depending on windfalls, actually diversify our economy, diversify our residents, diversify our population to reflect growth and reflect progress. Okay? And if we do that, all the good things that can happen will happen to us. And that is why companies brand. No reason for you not to. If you keep doing what you've always done, you'll keep getting what you've got. So your assessment rate, so what we've done as a community is wonderful. It's not a bad thing. But our assessment ratios would stay exactly the way they are. Our population would continue to slowly decline and get older, and our economy would continue to be volatile, or at least dependent on too few small businesses. So the process we used was we interviewed key stakeholder groups. We talked to leaders, community leaders, we talked to residents. We had a great chat with council and county staff, and it was a candid, they were very candid conversations. We interviewed for over 500 Ontarians, and you saw the results of that. We studied the competition. We've looked at all the counties and communities around you, and all the ones that do it well, and some of the ones that don't do it so well. We analyzed the attributes of Bruce. What that means, the things that you have that are cool, that are neat, that are attractive or compelling. We created 3 brand concepts. So for brand concepts, we call those stories. Kara gives me a rough time about changing my language all the time, but it's a narrative, it's a story, it's an idea, it's a concept. It's all of those things. And we'll continue to listen and reflect feedback. That's the most important part of this, is that I hope you endorse the idea we're presenting today. But if we're smart, and I think Bruce County is a pretty bright place, we'll continue to listen and we'll continue to evolve, because it is a collaborative process. It is not a, here's your rubber stamp, here's your tattoo, you don't have a choice, away we go. Fair? So what did we find? Research, as you know, is like Sally Field. They like us. They all love us. And she's shocked, but isn't that nice? And it's a wonderful, wonderful place to start. Your tourism and your alumni drive awareness. So your tourism, as you know, your alumni are the people that left, but still are very favorable about Bruce County. It's a strong, strong base. Our nature is our calling card, and that double entendre is intended. It's not just our natural environment, it's the nature of the people and the nature of the place. Live here, that's our calling card. It's a pretty impressive thing. So if you look deep into that research that Terry showed you, it shows you that people think highly of us. They think highly of how we greet them and welcome them, and I think that's terrific. Remoteness and access are our weaknesses. I actually did almost a record drive today. I almost hit 2 hours from downtown Toronto to here, but I had to leave at 5 a.m. to do it, guys. So anyway, we are, whether we like it or not, comparatively remote to the major centers of population. And the perception of access, whether it be to health care or services and all that, is that it's hard. So whether that's true or not is irrelevant. The perception is what makes it true. Simple living has the most appeal in that research, closely followed by proximity to natural landscape, and finally country living. But they were all fairly credible. And you'll see in a minute why that's important. So we've got the right messages. Okay? And Bruce appeals to a unique mindset, and this is something I want to really make sure we understand. We don't have to be all things to all people. In fact, Bruce County can't be all things to all people, nor should it try. Okay? We're a wonderful, wonderful place for a certain mindset, so let's appeal to them. And let's not worry about people who think sitting on a dock on Lake Rosso is adventure travel. Okay? Because it's not. So we're going to appeal to a different people, and they're going to share our mindset, a common headspace. Your stakeholders, the people we talked to in meetings and had great conversations with, that Bruce is about lifestyle. Affordable, personal, less complex. It's about families and about community. True. You could also say that about almost every other small community that we compete with. Bruce is active, energetic, social, and rugged. Now it starts to get a little more different, especially when you get into the whole notion of a little bit of a rugged terrain or a lifestyle that's more active and energetic. Bruce has 3 personality contributors. One, you can describe them in 2 ways. So one would be escarpment beach breadbasket. If you look at Bruce County, you can almost split it into the escarpment and the tourism up into Tobermory. the energy down the coast, whether that be water, beach, or nuclear, doesn't really matter. And the whole breadbasket, what we grow and what we produce as a county is pretty cool in agriculture. So we have those three attributes. What we did was we shortened it and we said, well, really, it's environment, energy, food. And that's pretty good. So we have an amazing environment, quite unique. We have great energy, both in terms of people, but also in terms of the future and progressive energy sources. And we have a fantastic food capability. So those are all wonderful things. And if you put them, if you put them together holistically, it's terrific. No one else kind of does that. Sadly, what we think makes Bruce unique is difficult to identify as an isolated statement. And you all had trouble with it. And I asked everybody in those, okay, well, what makes you special? And finally, a young lad in one of the meetings, which I've recounted this, but this is the last time, said, yeah, you're right, we got nothing. I thought he was the most honest and realistic, but he's also 25 years old, has moved up here with his family, so we must have something. So we started to talk to him a little bit more about that. Much of what we hold true, and I'll give you an example, safety. Everybody thought, we're the safest place. You're not. Okay, per capita, you're just simply not. So you can't say that. So what we hold true is either not differentiated to the next community, the next county, or it's not of value. People don't believe it. So what we do with that, our attributes, our food, our energy, our environment, what we do with them is what matters more than the fact that we have them. It's how we utilize them. It's how we make them work for us. And that starts to change the branding exercise from being about place to being about something else. So, the blend of quantitative research and the stakeholder input or qualitative research suggests the brand is somewhere between a less complicated lifestyle, this really quite interesting lifestyle that allows you to actually live, and active people who take most advantage of their surroundings. And if you take our surroundings holistically, they are indeed unique. You can farm in the morning, beach in the afternoon, and stare at stars all night. That's pretty rare if you compare it to other areas with that type of mix. In fact, they don't exist really until you get out into the mountains. Okay? So how do we turn that into a brand? This holistic environment that allows us to be something. Brands come to life as stories. And we've talked about this, I think, in other presentations where people trade information by telling stories about it. And that's happened since we learned to stand straight. The promises that we make have to result in preference. I prefer Bruce because why? Great brands have to be credible, i.e. the truth matters. It can't be fabricated. The best brands are aspirational. They encourage you to reach just a little beyond where we are so that people come together in turning that brand into reality. And finally, the best brand statements challenge us to achieve or change something, to embrace something, to be something. So when Nike did Just Do It as a slogan, there was a huge story behind the difference between people who laze around and people who actually get up and get active and do things. And they came up with that challenge of just do it. Okay? When Dove does Real Beauty, what they're implying there is that real beauty is not on the outside, as all the other competitors would have you believe. Real beauty is an idea of what you are within. And communities that do it well are exactly the same. And very few of them, by the way, do it really, really well. So, we created 3 concepts, okay, stories. We'll call them what you will. We presented them as stories to our stakeholder groups, and we had a conversation about them. So what we're going to talk to you about now is not about logos. We haven't done logo design. It's not about pictures, even though we have to show you pictures to get the idea across. It's really not about the pictures. It's about this story. Does it feel like it's something we should take on? Does it feel like a challenge? Does it feel like an invitation? And if it does, it's probably right. And the brand concept we choose has to serve as an umbrella for all the assets. So before we go any further, we have to figure out if it works for tourism. We have to figure out if it works for business development. We have to figure out if it works for community services. Does it work for our ambulances? Does it work for all the different things and services that Bruce County brings to life and all the different things that people do here, because a brand has to include all of that. And that's another one of the neat and unique and challenging aspects of this job. So, I'm going to tell you about the concepts. I'm not going to show them all to you. Concept 1 was about living a simpler, uncomplicated life, and the theme was see life from here. And the idea behind see life from here was not about just simple life, it was about clarity of life. And that you could actually have time to take in what's around you, and you'd have time to be with your kids, and you'd have time to do all those things if you would just see life from here, from this perspective. And we think clarity of life and uncomplicated life is a very important message of Bruce. But when we got into it, the credibility of the theme, it was either loved or loathed. I'm not allowed to use the word hated anymore, so I had to remove that from my language. It was loathed. And the reason it was either loved or loathed is it was speaking to the hearts of the people who, but it may not have been credible for people who were outside. Plus, it was interesting that the reaction from the business group and the leadership group was, there's not a chance this is uncomplicated. This is really hard work, which I thought was starting a business, being in work, doing those things, providing services is as tough here as it is anywhere else. Right? The interesting aspect of See Life from Here was that you still could do it and have time for your family and have time for your life, which was strong. So the credibility of the theme was questioned, but the narrative that we created for it was not. So that was good. It was positive. There was a positive. Conceptual story 2 was about our collective personality in relation to our physical attributes, so energy, environment, and food. And we called this Upcountry Ontario. Also universally loved and loathed. It was almost a split, and it was really funny. Good support for the narrative that went with this one, but there were negative perceptions, and the funny one that I have to tell you about is, we're not country. I went, but you are country. This is the country. It's okay. It's okay to be countryside and to redefine it and make it your own. But just no go for that one individual, which I thought was interesting. But the other part of it was a little too hoity-toity and not like the winery. All right, there was a little bit too up. What we thought was interesting about it was that it defines your energy. And it's not just about being north on a map, but it's actually this energy that we've noticed here, which we think is you can grab a hold of. And it connects to energy, and it connects to what we're doing in alternative energy as well, just as important as nuclear. It appeals to a whole lot of things in this, I'm up for it. Okay? I am powering up the world. I am these things. So there was parts of that we think we could take and not lose. And negative perceptions ranged from too much country to over-promising on the elitism, and it was going to be an uphill battle, so to speak. So we thought, no, let's not do that one. So, concepts 1 and 2, the one we just talked about, generated support for the stories, almost all positive, but support for the themes was actually varied. And what we discovered as we listened and listened and listened, that people were liking the pictures, and were not necessarily connecting the dots between the idea and the pictures. So we said, okay, where do we go? So we went to number 3. Of the 3 at concepts, only one was ranked either number 1 or number 2 by everyone in our groups. And it was also the first choice of your county, I can't say this, the team I'm working with. The wonderful choice of the people that came up with it, which would be my company. Which is odd, that rarely happens. So we came intrigued by the notion of people make the place. And we think there is a unique quality to people who move here, open businesses here, visit here. They don't take the easy path. This is not the easy trip. This is not the easy choice. And that's good. What are the human qualities, behaviors, and endeavors that are common to many people? Not everybody, but many people in Bruce County, and maybe common to people who will choose us. Is there one that stands above the rest? One quality, and I wish we could have a discussion and get your input, but my guess is when we got into it, we'd arrive at the conclusion we arrived at. Is there a way to connect what we've done in the past with the future? Legacies of small communities, legacies of counties in rural Canada are very, very important. Leaving the past behind is never a good idea. And is there a way to leverage what we have been successful at as a county and as individual communities? The answer to that is yes. So we write narratives, and I will read to you, and I'll use my best Tim Allen voice, but it won't be as good. So, here's to explorers. The dreamers who take roads less traveled. Those who turn alternatives into sustainable choices. Those who see tried and true as an invitation to try something new. Here's to children who look under rocks. and parents who help with the lifting. Here's to the curious, the inquisitive, and those with the vision to look beyond obstacles. Here's to celebrating business innovation, and just as important, to exploring farm life in the morning, beach life in the afternoon, and bright starry skies all night long. Here's to the explorers, here's to us. Bruce County is where roads less traveled lead to discoveries unimagined in life, in our work, in our communities, and how we spend our days together. Here's to the explorers who call Bruce County home. And we felt that within the context of that story, we had very positive support for all of it, and in some parts a lot at a deeper level. And the support for this was very similar to the support for the other narratives, but there was something more visceral about it that we liked. And obviously what this is saying is that Bruce County is more than a place. Bruce County, the sum of all the parts in Bruce County is actually an invitation to be an explorer, to simply be an explorer. And by being an explorer, it's not just, come up, chop down a few trees and go home, right? Explorers create jobs. Explorers investigate ideas. Explorers find new places and blaze new trails and do things differently. And that idea of exploration and being inquisitive, being curious, looking for new opportunities applies to this community very well. That's how we started. And in agriculture, it's the same thing. You go and you look for new ways to keep your farm going, to grow your farm, to sell what you grow, to gather together, to form co-ops, to do all those neat things. In business, it's the same thing. You get explorers to start businesses here. Those are the people who take risks, and they stay, and they build lives. Okay? And the same with residents, the same with staff in a county office. If we do things the same way that everybody else does them, if we don't look for new ideas and new ways to deliver, we won't succeed. And so the council that I met, and you informed me, was a progressive council and was a progressive group of people that had the opportunity to go and explore new ideas. Because that's what you're doing. So you're proving it. So we thought this was an interesting brand theme. And it was an invitation to others to join us. So remember we talked about you don't have to appeal to everybody, but you do have to appeal to people who are going to find this environment, this holistic place, favorable. And we think the people that come here are explorers. If I'm the young lad who moved down to Toronto to seek my fortune after growing up in Kincardine, but I come back to start a restaurant, that takes a certain amount of risk. And I go and explore the ideas. If the restaurateur, the nice restaurant in Kincardine, I guess there's more than one, isn't there, Ann? But it's great. What did he do? He didn't just go and buy his veggies. He goes and explores relationships with different farmers and producers in the area to bring the produce into his restaurant. That's an explorer. Okay, when the family comes up and turns their family cottage of 3 generations into a permanent home, that's an explorer. So on and on and on the idea goes, and we just thought, wow, this has got legs. And there are other really neat parts of it. But let's show you how it attaches visually. So if you just simply asked questions, where will your business plan take you? Well, if you look at Pine River Cheese and the fact that they had to explore different ways to do things, be an explorer fits. Where will your business plan take you? If we're looking at alternative energy, the designer on this project just had to get solar in here somewhere, even though I said, you've got to show nuclear. But no, she was very excited about it. So be an explorer fits business development, totally. It supports your B2B, your Business to Bruce campaign, and it supports all the different things you're doing in economic development. Those are the people who will come here and start businesses and expand their businesses. How do you make innovation second nature? Be an explorer. That's science, that's superheat. Go down the list. How do you see life from here? Our kids go to school in streams, and rivers, and on beaches, and on farms, and in world biospheres. Our kids are explorers. They're taught to be explorers. They live in an environment where they get to. How do you see life from here? Be an explorer. The fact that you actually get to explore different ways of making a living that allow you to spend more time with your children has an appeal to a certain type of individual. How do you see life from here? The fact that this person actually goes out and surfs when it's freezing cold out astounds me. But anyway, they do it, and they do it because they're risk takers and they enjoy that lifestyle. Is this making sense so far? Where does the road less traveled go? This is tourism, fits. Be an explorer, you'll find out. You don't even need a road to find out where the road less traveled goes. It's interesting that when you're dealing with a corporation, we have to find an idea that will inspire staff and inspire everybody involved in the county to go and be what the brand says and to live the brand and to adopt it. So we wrote an interesting thing, and we said basically to inquire, to search, to discover, creating the culture of an ever better Bruce County. A public organization powered by innovation, adaptability, and shared values would be formidable. Bruce County can be such an organization. You, the county staff who make this region of Ontario go, will be the source of our inspiration. Where others see obstacles, you will find opportunities. And where individuals struggle, we will work together. Where there are questions about the future here, you will find practical answers. We are building an explorer culture in Bruce County, and the staff and the council will be our guides. It fits. It fits every aspect of what you do. And it allows us the ability to go and attach this brand, this asset, this wonderful word Bruce, and what it means to be Bruce, to all the programs that we have and all the things that we deliver. So what's so good about it? It allowed us to fit the best parts of concepts 1 and 2. So you may not see up, but visually up is there. And certainly see life from here is the promise we're making to people and families moving here, for sure. And I think it reinforces how we all feel about living here too. It connects 3 very distinct areas in the county. Okay? Explorer obviously fits the whole environment, biosphere, tourism thing. But Explorer also fits the food and the bread basket. Totally fits it. We have to explore new ways and new paths in agriculture. And I think those will be the people who are really successful. And Explorer certainly fits energy. Okay, because we can't, and we don't. And actually, Bruce has this long-term reputation because of nuclear and for other reasons that we have explored new avenues and we have done things differently. And we haven't been afraid to do it. I think that's very important. It defines people and personalities most likely to choose Bruce. So if you look back into that research that Terry did, it defines the type of people who find Bruce attractive. And you can put them all in a bucket and call them all explorers, and it works extremely well. And finally, it leverages Explore the Bruce. 1.5 million web hits, can't be wrong, but it leverages what we already do well. It also leverages Spruce the Bruce. It leverages every program we have. Go and explore new ideas. So if we go into Lucknow and we say, yeah, okay, you're not yet a general store, go and explore ideas on how you're going to become one, they get it and they move forward. Kincardine didn't become Kincardine without people exploring new ways of working together. Uh-oh. We think it challenges you. We always think of ourselves as part of you when we're working for you, but it challenges us to adapt and grow. And maybe that's the best part. One of the groups, the leadership group, they brought this up, and I think 1 or 2 of the people really made a strong point about it. It challenges us to progress. It challenges people to think of things a little bit differently. It challenges visitors to see and do more. You know, get out of your comfort zone. Don't drive through Wyerton, stop in Wyerton. Right? Think about the winter in Bruce County. And oh, come on, it's nice. And let yourself explore an idea that you haven't really thought about before. Right? It allows us to explore new attractions, allows us to do different things. So we like it, we're excited, but we're the people who came up with it. So the next steps, after you say yes or no or ask great questions, would be we start working on the art. And we align it, most importantly, with all the existing programs. So this doesn't mean going and rebuilding everything. In fact, we would oppose that. And then create the communications plan and deployment plan that you use to support it. Not in some great big huge Hollywood glamorous red carpet affair, but in a really nice, simple, practical evolution of messaging. So what I would do is invite questions, I think, at this point, and then we can close it off.
Good. Thank you, Gary. Questions from the committee?
I liked I liked the process that you followed, and, you know, deciding on be an explorer, and your other ideas were good too. So when I saw them, I liked your explanation for coming to be an explorer. So you're going to roll this out, and you mentioned just a more subtle campaign. Would you go to each municipality, or would you just roll it out and then people will just gradually adopt it?
I think in the planning part of it, you have to, there are at least 8, if not more, strong community brands. And we have to make sure that what we do from an art point of view and a rollout deployment point of view fits that without disrupting the brand. So your brand has to remain consistent, and you've invested a lot in it, and every community has them. So this has to work as a support, and again, the research said Bruce is an asset in addition to the local brands, right? And that's where it's best. It gives you some scale and gives you some quick notoriety and positive vibes, and then I can get into Kincardine and move from there. But it doesn't change anything about Kincardine or any of the other local brands.
No, that's good. I think you're right. It does, it kind of enhances instead of competing. So that's good. I like it.
Paul?
Developing the art is an interesting process. I'm just wondering what direction do you have in mind? That is that we're going to hire some downtown graphic artists, or do we take it to our art students at the local high schools and make a competition of it? The museum would be more than happy to host that.
Here goes the answer that will get me in trouble. This isn't an amateur show. So we don't believe in taking things to students. We love letting students practice, and we hire students and we hire interns to teach them design. But this requires a professional, whether it be downtown, uptown, or any other town, designers. So we have 2 people, a design team of 2, and myself and other groups working on this already. What comes out of that is, and the things we have to take into consideration are all the other brands, all the programs that exist, the cost of change, how it fits with different brands, how it doesn't get in the way. So teaching that to a student or teaching that to an amateur contest, we think has never resulted in a good thing. What we do believe is there's a design professional approach, and that's the one we're taking for you guys, and we're on it. We're working on it now. So that's part of the process, is we do the art. We create it.
So I take from that there's no professional artists in Bruce County?
I think Tenzing was hired to do this job. I think it was an open RFP and a competition for it, and they hired us to do it. So those are the people who are doing it.
Are you looking for a job, Paul? Or? David?
I really like the overall theme. Excellent, and the narrative as well. That really brought it all together. But how do you advertise a logo and a narrative? You can't put it all on the side of a truck or on a letterhead. How do you? I mean, you can do it on a website, but how do you kind of bring that explanation together for the general public?
It's a great question. So part 3, that's a great question. And all the questions have been great. What am I saying? So you step so far back from it that you see the whole landscape, and in your design process you take into account that landscape. It's funny that you mentioned the truck. One of the designers last week was trying to throw ideas on the side of a truck. I'm going, what are you doing? It's ridiculous. You just can't do that. It takes a lot of time, and it takes a design system. So we're creating a system that would work for Bruce that hits all the different touch points, and then how to apply that logo or that mark or that thought or that idea or aspects of those narratives and weave them into what you already do. So we also don't believe in great big splashy launches. We also know that you don't have the budget, nor should you have the budget for a big splashy launch. So you just make it part of the fabric and you weave it in. But there will be a system and a guide and a toolkit for how you're going to do that over time. Does that answer? I think that answers it okay. Okay, good.
Mike?
Thanks, Mr. Wood. Like Dave, I really kind of enjoyed how we got to the exercise itself. Was kind of enlightening for me. And, you know, we all have our perceptions about what Bruce County is about or our home is about. And I really, when you presented it this morning, Gary, I was not really surprised, but I thought, geez, it was really, I think, what I had in mind, or if you really put some thought to it. But I do have one question. It's kind of a technical question. I go back to those slides where you have the slides where the pictures are, and there's map coordinates on it there, and I just wondered what the significance of those two numbers are.
So the map coordinates is one idea we were exploring early. There's that word again. Was we think there's a whole new side of orienteering, GPS based and so on. We were looking at longitudes and latitudes and stuff. I want you not, just a request is not to worry about pictures yet and graphics. We've barely scratched the surface. That's not where we're going. The little arrow, I think actually Explore the Bruce already uses an element of that. But what it shows is that what we love about this idea is from a legs point of view and a graphic language point of view, it's choosing the right elements of that graphic language so that you can own. And the more we hit that, and we call it hitting the nail into the hole, hit the same nail in the hole over and over again, graphically, message, language, how you market, how we do all this stuff. And already you're marketing that way. So graphics, the significance of those numbers, I think it was your longitude and latitude. Knowing Christine, one of the designers, she would have looked that up and figured that out. But we won't be using it. And watch, she'll make a liar of me in a few little while. We'll come back with a whole idea based on longitude and latitude.
I thought maybe it was a location of a buried treasure or something.
Maybe not a good topic for today, yeah. You know. Nope.
Any other questions or comments? Well, again, thank you, Gary and the team. This was a very interesting slide deck today, and I just want to share, I was in Washington last week and I was talking to a congressman who had actually physically biked up to northern Bruce Peninsula, and he said it was one of the most beautiful places he's ever been on the planet. And then I met a gentleman from Wisconsin who said he's been to the Bruce twice and he plans on going back. So I found it very interesting. Just obviously part of your discussions are where you're from, and you say Bruce County, and you're not expecting people in Washington to know where it is, but to hear two people say that it's one of the most beautiful places on the planet is quite telling for the county of Bruce. So I think we're on the right track, and I really commend the team, and very exciting to see where this ends.
Great, thanks. Thank you, guys. Good luck. Have fun.
Thank you. So there is a staff, oh, sorry, Kelly.
No, through Mr. Warden, there is the recommendation before committee, and I too want to recognize Tenzing, the work of Gary Lintern, as well as various individuals who have been involved, and in particular, special recognition is very deserving of Kara, Jill, Chris, Stephen, Janice, and Rick, because worked very, very hard, and they've been completely focused on this, and the outcome is quite pleasing that you all like it as well. It really does represent, I think, who we are and who we want to be.
Good. Thank you. Okay, there's a staff recommendation there. Do I have a mover and seconder? Moved by Ann, seconded by David. Are there any further discussions on the staff recommendation? Hearing none. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. Thank you. Next meeting, April 7th. Do I have a mover and a seconder for adjournment? Michael Milt. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. Thank you.